Welcome back to the Sherwood Urban Farm. In today's video, we're going to have a look at the August sowing guide for gardeners in South Africa. So, we're going to start off with sowing some seeds in trays, which I would like to then place in the house, not in my greenhouse, because at night it just gets too cold, so that they can just germinate. Some of the seeds that I have here that I would like to sow will only start to germinate when they are at 10 degrees. So in the house, it will be warm enough. It will be at this time of the year between 18 and 22 degrees Celsius. So that's fine. A lot of these, well, all these crops are mainly for spring and summer, besides radishes. Well, radishes like cool weather, otherwise radishes are just nasty to eat. The reason why I want to start my seedlings now is because by the time it gets to the end of December, January, February, we are not getting much rain, and then my tanks are starting to look a little bit dismal, and so I want to be able to have harvested most of my stuff by the time we reach the heat of our summer season. So the one I'm going to start off with are corn. This is millies. This one is called Kalahari Early Pearl. I would love to sow my sweet corn now, but I haven't seen any of it in the shops yet. So because I suppose generally people would only start sowing in September, but I like to start earlier, like I said. Now I like to grow maize. This is like maize because I grind it up, well, I let it dry and then I grind it up and I make maize meal, millie meal from it, which I know I can eat with like a peace of mind, because all the seed that we get in South Africa in packets for non-commercial growers is not GMO. So it's only commercial growers that can get GMO seed. But if you're going to buy maize meal, millie meal in the shops, then it is decidedly a GMO product, and I prefer not to eat that. Now with any of your maize seeds, you want to be very careful not to overwater them before they germinate, because I've had it so many times that the seed rots before it starts germinating, or sometimes it will germinate but then it just starts to rot. So watering, you got to just keep your eye on it. Normally what I would do is I let it soak in a dish. I use an old cat litter dish, and then I place the seed trays in there so that you have bottom watering. But I just found with maize or corn seeds, oh man, millies, sweet corn, it doesn't like too much water, then they'll just rot. So I have sort of almost a standard depth at which I sow my seeds. And that's, unless it's of course carrot seeds, but most of my other things are 1 centimeter in. I find that works, because what I will do is I'll probably pot these on anyways before they go in the ground. This is just so that I can get them to germinate. I'm going to just pop in 1 per cell. Now I've tried to have 2. I thought, okay, maybe that will work well if you have 2 millie plants in one place, but actually that doesn't work very well at all. The one generally will either give you this little tiddly head of corn, or it will just not do anything at all. So 1 per planting station, that just works grand. This is probably about 1.5 centimeters actually. So I just pop it in. This is my homemade compost. It is almost bordering on vermicompost right now, actually, if you have a look at it. Anyways, it's nice and fine, so it works well for germinating seeds in. So if you have got sweet corn seeds, then you can plant them now as well. Actually, apparently there's like a rule of thumb in South Africa. If the coral trees are flowering, then you can start to plant your maize seeds. The coral trees are not flowering at the moment, but I'm going to put them indoors and it should be fine. Next up is butternut. So I'm going to sow in the 6 cell. That was a 12 cell. This one is called Wiltham. I haven't had great success with it. Hopefully this time around. Actually, last year I thought, I won't put my seeds in so early. I will only do it in September, and I could really kick myself because then I felt like I was behind in the season, and by the time I had mine big enough to plant outdoors, the insects were out and they were already attacking. And so this year I'm starting again in August like I always did. I don't know why I got this brainwave to not do that. Anyways, I've got a lot of these little earthworms in the compost, in my seed mix. I actually feel sorry for them because they get like stuck in a little prison in here. There we go. Oh, you know what? I haven't got my markings. I like to use popsicle sticks to mark my trays. Let me go and get that. So don't forget to mark your seed trays because you will not remember what you have sown. Because I'm going to do pumpkins as well. So if when they're going to germinate, then I'm not going to know which one was pumpkins and which one was the butternut. So we'll put here butternut. Next up this is a flat white blued pumpkin. I figured if I don't get a good harvest for the sweet which is butternut squash, but I do get at least one pumpkin or maybe two, because they're so big I can cook them and then freeze it instead of getting a whole bunch of butternut. I actually think I'm going to do 2 trays of butternut because I'm growing across the road as well at my neighbor's. She's got a lot of space. I'll be able to plant the butternut underneath the maize. I'm not going to show you how I sow the carrots because I have already made a video on how I sow carrots, but you can sow carrots right now as well. So it will take about 4 months to germination. Yeah, so they say 90 to 120 days, so it's 3 to 4 months. So if you sow it now, so then you should be, by December, you should be harvesting. And then in our climate, it's not yet that hot in December most of the time. Normally January, February, March are our hottest months. So by that stage, you should be able to have harvested, and then your carrots will still be nice and sweet. Then radish are, like I've said before, radish are a cold season crop, but because they are ready in 23 to 35 days, that's nice. And especially since we're now going into spring and we're getting longer days and more, and the temperature's rising, it will grow faster. This is the first time I'm growing these ones. This one is called White Icicle, and I'm very excited about this. I'm just feeling like I'm going to get more bang for my buck. Instead of a little ball like this, I'm going to at least get a long one. The radish is very simple to sow. Normally what I would do is I would sow them in a flat tray without the little cells, and then I'll pick them out, but and then pot them on, or just put them straight in like I've done with these ones. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to do 2 per cell, which will then should give me 24 radish, and I think that's more than enough. I don't think you can preserve radishes. I don't know. I don't think so. Freezing them or whatever. But I do add them to my stir fries. I suppose you could do it like that. I'm not sure. But a nice crisp radish in a salad, that's tasty. That's all I can say. Now some people will sow more than one seed, or like they'll actually do 4 or 5 per cell or per planting station. I used to do that, but then I just found that most of the time you actually anyways only going to get 1 or 2 nicely formed radish. Some of them don't even form, they'll go straight to seed if I multi-sow. I don't know, it might work in other climates, but I have not had success like that. So I just push them down a little bit and then just cover them. Now these ones I will put in the greenhouse to germinate, because they won't germinate at high temperatures, not even temperatures in the house. In fact, I have put them in the fridge sometimes. That's what I did with my pea seeds in the beginning, at the end of summer. I stuck them in the fridge to germinate because otherwise it was just too hot. Next up are bush beans. I like bush beans. I prefer bush beans to runner beans. You could plant runner beans if you like, but I prefer bush beans. I find that they are very prolific. Previously I've grown Contender. This one is Star 2000, which I thought it's a really nice one. So I am going to just start off with a little 6 cell, and then I will do a succession sowing probably in about a month's time. For the beans, I'll stick them a little deeper. They are 3 centimeters down. So then I just make little holes. Next up, I'm going to try a new variety which I've never tried before, and this is called Emerald. They are they claim this is the seed that the farmers use. What I was actually looking for is seed that is blight resistant, but I haven't found anything in South Africa that is blight resistant. This one is it has got quite a high disease resistance, but not specifically for blight. I think it was bacterial wilt. That's what it's got quite a resistance towards. But anyways, I'm going to plant it across the road at my neighbor's because I have got blight in the soil, and apparently you can't grow anything from the nightshade family for 4 years in soil that has got blight. That's really sad. So I'm actually going to do it in a 12 cell because I want to have a lot of tomatoes. That's what I was hoping for last season, and then they all succumbed to the blight, which was very sad indeed. But this season I'm growing across the road. I don't believe they've actually grown anything in that vegetable space. Sure, well actually since I've known them, when we've been here for 21 years. So I doubt very highly that there's going to be any blight there. I'm really actually hopeful that I'm going to have fantastic harvests there. I'm going to put my potatoes in there as well because of the blight that I've got here. I can plant potatoes on the other side of the garden, but just not in my in-ground bed here, which is very sad indeed. So I'm just going to make little shallow depressions in the soil, in the compost, and they're saying 5 millimeters. That's half a centimeter, so that's very low, very shallow. So these ones produce a bit of an oval shaped tomato. Oh, not many seeds, that's all I can say. Wow. Okay. Now what I also found with tomatoes, and why I want to get them in as soon as possible, is when it gets too hot. Although they like warm weather, they don't like it too hot. The plants will actually die. I think from 35 degrees Celsius upwards, that's it. Your plants they just start to die back. And years ago I planted all along the wall and had such a dismal harvest because it was just too hot. The sun bakes against the wall all afternoon long, and then my tomatoes hardly gave anything after January. Then I could have just pulled them all out. I've also got in the greenhouse, I bought seedlings. They are Rodad. Also supposed to be quite a high resistant variety. Also determinant, but they are like a round tomato, so I'm excited to see how they perform. These are seeds that my dad gave. I think they are lima beans. Maybe somebody can tell me. They're really these big flat ones with the markings on. But my dad actually got annoyed with them because they are so vigorous in growing. They grew over everything, and so he was quite pleased to give them to me. And then I have a friend who's from Zimbabwe, and she saw that I had these seeds, and she was like, oh, please can I have? It reminds me of home. We grow them in Zimbabwe, so it's a seed that they grow there. But I think these are lima beans. That's what I could find online when I did a Google image search. 3 to 4 centimeters for these things. They're so big. And these ones also, you eat them when they dry, so it's not a green bean. The last The last thing I'm going to sow now is cucumbers. Oh, I love my cucumbers. So over the years, when I've grown them in ground, I've not been very successful at all. But growing them in my tall raised beds, or specifically on that side, I've had the most amazing success. I'm going to grow them this year. I will grow them in that bed over there where the snap peas are, because then I can let them climb up all along where the snap peas have grown up. Otherwise, what I normally do is I just let them trellis over the side of the beds. And I'm actually going to start them off in the 12 cell, and then I am going to, as they grow, I'll pot them on into bigger trays, or actually into little individual containers. Same as what I'll do with the butternut and the pumpkin. Over winter, we might buy those ones that are grown hydroponically. I don't like it. It certainly does not taste. If it's one thing that is so different if you grow in your own home or in your own garden, it's cucumbers, because most of our cucumbers are grown hydroponically, and then they just sort of got this watery taste. But if you grow your own cucumbers, oh my flat hat, it's almost got a melon taste. That's how nice they are. And a little crunch, and they're just divine. I haven't found an English cucumber. I mean, you can get English cucumber seeds, then you're paying like 30 Rand for 5, and I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that, because they might not germinate, and then it's actually, then I've still got to get the postage. Oh no. So I just grow Ashley. Ashleys are old standard. The skin is a little bit leathery, so I normally will peel it. I'll probably do a succession sowing of cucumber in a month's time as well. So you can also plant potatoes now, seed potatoes. I have a basket full of seed potatoes in my kitchen, which I will plant across the road. The commercial growers are planting now in August. In the Gamtes Valley, they already are planting their potatoes right now. So I will do that as well. Now, what most people don't realize, which is interesting, is that seeds do not need light to germinate. They need warmth and they need moisture. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place these in the house on the windowsill, which gets morning sun. I'm going to stack them on top of each other like that. Then I'm going to cover them with the top ones with tin foil to keep the moisture in. Get to the supermarket or to the nursery, get your seeds, get your growing medium, get planting now in August, so that you will have a jump start on the season. If you enjoyed this video and you found it useful, please share it with your friends and like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a lovely day further.